Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Hagen-Botham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome back to the City Current Show, powered by Hagen-Botham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And that's why we're so excited to be talking about the Social Justice Impact Award winner with the 2025 Strobel Volunteer Awards. We're talking with Marcie Smeck Bryant. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Jeremy.
Hey, well, congratulations. It's a big honor when you talk about celebrating your efforts to make a difference in the community. That's what it's all about. But let's start with a little bit of your background, and then we'll dive into all the volunteerism and the good you're doing, because on your end, community volunteer, retired strategic communications professional. Give us a little bit of your background professionally, and then we'll talk all about how you got involved in the community.
I started out in corporate communications, but then spent most of my career in nonprofit human service organizations leading communications.
When you talk about working with food insecurity, where did that catalyst come in for you?
For me, we live for each other. That's kind of been something that I've lived by. And when I retired, I had to discern where I was going to spend my time and what my focus was going to be, because I had so many interests. And so children, community, and food, specifically hunger, were the things I chose to focus on.
One of the things that you were celebrated for is every Tuesday volunteering with an organization called the Nashville Food Project and tied to Trinity Community Commons. And so talk about how that started, how that relationship, how that, volunteerism started for you.
I've been a volunteer with the Nashville Food Project really since it started. And about 10 years ago, the founder asked my husband and I to help start a community meal in East Nashville at Trinity Community Commons on Trinity Road near the intersection of Dickerson. And that meal has continued to grow, and the food for that meal comes from the Nashville Food Project. So we deliver it and sit at the tables and share the meal with members of the community.
Yeah, dive in and paint the picture of what that's like. So for, listeners and viewers who say, okay, what does that mean? What is that experience like? Go ahead and paint that picture.
Well, I was there last night. It's a real mixture of neighbors. One neighbor brought a snow cone machine and made snow cones because it was so hot. And then people who are unhoused, people who have means and bring food. One lady brings sweet potato pies every week. We bring the food from the Nashville Food Project. The individuals that are there participate in washing the dishes, serving the food, and helping each other in many ways.
Talk about what homelessness, what those on the fringe who have a job, but when you talk about the cost of living and, literally just kind of being on that balance point, talk about the relationships you have a chance to see, but kind of changing that perspective around what homelessness and what helping those who need some help and community really looks like.
I think community is so powerful. I think loneliness, as we all know, is an epidemic. And knowing that there's one place you can go to sit down and share a meal with somebody and share your life. Like, this is what I need. This is how I could help you. You need your bicycle repaired. Last night, there was somebody there working on repairing bicycles. If that's the only way you get around town, it's pretty important. Or I need help with the car repair, or I need a haircut. So coming together to share needs and share capacity to help somebody else is what community is, I think.
Talk about the Nashville Food Project overall. So give us some perspective on that, and then also a little bit deeper dive on Trinity Community Commons.
The Nashville Food Project is all about growing, cooking, and sharing food with the goals of cultivating community and alleviating hunger. And there are three main components of that. The first one is meals, and at present they're cooking scratch-made fresh meals and delivering, well, they're providing 7,000 meals a week right now, and 3,800 are going to kids that are in summer programs somewhere in the Nashville area. Summer is food insecurity is particularly high for children in the summer. So so meals is the first component. The second component is food, where the food comes from. And it's a combination of several things. Food is recovered from 10 different sites. Retail stores of all kinds and restaurants are included in that. And then food is donated from farms all around Nashville. And then urban farming. The Nashville Food Project is helping neighborhoods and congregations around Nashville learn to grow food and share it in their community so that we are all more interdependent and have the capacity to grow fresh food, which I think is really critical right now as fresh food becomes more expensive.
You mentioned it briefly in terms of kind of the location and a little bit about it, but go ahead and dive in deeper on Trinity Community Commons.
Trinity, it's interesting because the intersection between the Nashville Food Project and Trinity is cultivating community and alleviating hunger. Trinity Commons is a place, and the purpose of the place is radical hospitality. So they are providing a free meal every week with wraparound services that are provided. The food comes from the Nashville Food Project. They're partnering with Open Table to help people with housing issues and also just immediate healthy living needs. And then they're also a hub in the neighborhood for neighborhood-led potlucks or peer support groups. They have an enormous garden in the front yard and the produce is available to the entire neighborhood. And then the third part of Trinity is they are in the process of redeveloping their property to provide supportive housing, 22 units of supportive housing for families. And they're partnering for case management for those families. So it won't just be housing, but it'll be supportive services. So those are the important pieces of Trinity.
One of the other things that to me is special about you and celebrating your efforts is not only the hands-on approach with the volunteerism, but also the strategic use of your gifts and experience, including strategic operation plans and strategic planning and, goal setting and all that. So talk a little bit about sharing some of your professional experiences to help on that side with strategic communications and strategic planning.
I'm actually on the board of the Nashville Food Project. And as times change, the need for strategic planning, which we are engaged in now, is increasingly important and challenging because it's like nothing's where you left it. There are lots of moving pieces right now. And so I'm engaged in that group of amazing professionals working on the future for the Nashville Food Project.
Give us some of your, when you talk about the future and just your personal perspective on that. And as you mentioned, the dynamics continue to change every single moment, but give us maybe one or two things that put a smile on your face for whether it's goals, vision, certain initiatives, but what are a couple of things that really excite you about the future?
I think there are so many concerning things in the world right now, and it's easy to get really low at points. And I feel like if I can do something for somebody else, simple or something larger, if I can invest myself and my energy in that, it's easier to see hope in this day and the next. And I think that's really important right now, because there are a lot of people that are lonely, that are people of means and people without means. And we really, really need each other.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot in terms of the power of volunteerism. And when you look at the higher purpose and being able to see that what you can do can help another, and whether that's, going through depression, going through, I mean, so many, parents that we have that have children that are kind of lost and feel hopeless and, looking for a higher purpose. When you start volunteering and you meet others who you can light that fire in, and volunteers care about community, they care about others, they're going to care about you. You build a tight knit community through the power of volunteerism. And I think volunteerism is such a powerful way to not only bring us together, but to be kind of that fire that fuels hope and opportunity. And so I agree. Carry that into another organization, Feedback Nashville, that you're associated with as well.
Feedback Nashville, the Nashville Food Project is one of many organizations in Nashville who came together to form Feedback Nashville. And they did that with a grant and worked hard for a year to do research on food deserts, places where food is not available in Nashville, and food of any kind or fresh food. And then to look at the places where food is being wasted in Nashville and what can be done to bring those two parts together, those two challenges in Nashville. Because food, I mean, there's so many problems. Food going to the dump that is actually usable food is ridiculous on so many levels, but especially when they're food deserts.
Give us a couple of things that you've learned. I mean, obviously, when you talk about these sort of challenges, the opportunities, the gaps in the community, and, how can you create solutions just like we're talking about? And even going back to the conversation just a second ago around the power of volunteerism and hope, right? What are a couple of things that you've definitely learned through your volunteerism and engagement in the community? Because it does open up your eyes to a lot of things that when you're not engaged, you just don't see. And I think this then, it creates that responsibility around how do I take this and carry this forward to the betterment of the community, the betterment of our city. So what are a couple of things that you've learned?
I think one big one is that homelessness is an issue until you get to know the individuals, until you recognize the faces and sit down and talk to them. Childhood hunger is an issue until I play with children. We have a lot of children on Tuesday nights at Trinity. Until I play with those kids that are as excited about salad as they are about a cookie. And then the other thing I think I've learned is that despair doesn't really help anybody, me included. And so acting is just to get in there and get your hands dirty and work on it is better for me than sitting around talking about it.
Action creates clarity, and it's also therapeutic and healing. So nice.
It
Carry that
is.
into then your words of advice. So, what would your words of advice be for others to get involved in the community, to volunteer, to be active? So, what would your words of encouragement be for others in the community?
Pick a focus. Like pick something that you feel. I'm not encouraging people particularly to pick my focus, but pick the thing that pulls at your heartstrings, and figure out. There's so many organizations like Hands On Nashville and United Way and others to help you find an organization, and then investigate the organization. See if a day with them or a few hours with them rings your bell, and if not, try something else. But find your place.
Well, speaking of Hands On Nashville and United Way, once again, you are the Social Justice Impact Award winner with the 2025 Strobel Volunteer Awards. So congratulations. What does that award mean to you?
Well, that was a huge surprise because there's so many deserving people in this community that I work with every day. And I guess if there was any category, I guess I'm especially proud because it was the social justice category, because I feel so strongly about social justice and all that we can each do to make the world better.
Yeah, and that passion comes through. So I love it. Well, we always ask organizations, where do we go to learn more and get involved? In your case, open-ended question, but where would you like us to go to learn more and get involved in the community?
The Nashville Food Project at the NashvilleFoodProject.org and TrinityCommons.org.
Well, Marcie Smeck Bryant, congratulations again. Thank you for all you do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy. Have a good day.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.